Good morning, dear children. In the previous class, we started with the wildlife and we had discussed about the various types of birds which are found there. Birds and seals which mostly live near the edges of the continent, and about 40 kinds of birds such as the albatross, prions, gulls, cormorants, and petrels are found in Antarctica. This we had done in the previous class. Proceeding further with the penguins, penguins are often called flippered flyers because of their effortless movement through the water. And this bird is not able to fly, but they are very skillful swimmers. And the Adelaide penguin, which is the most common kind of penguin, which is found in Antarctica. Here are some important characteristic features of the penguin bird which you need to learn. Number one, that they are large waddling birds. They can swim but not fly. They live and breed on land in a large number. They live in groups. And these birds have two short legs and are very, very skillful swimmers. I'm repeating that. They dive into the ocean and they obtain their food or they catch their food, which is mainly fish. They also feed on the krill and the plants that are growing below the sea or water. Various kinds of seal, that is the fur seal and the elephant seal, also live out here on the ocean, along the ocean of the Antarctic continent. The next most common animal of the ocean is the krill, a small shrimp-like creature that feeds on the tiny floating animals, and many other Antarctic animals depend on the krill for food. That means krill is the food for many animals like your whale and the penguin also. Next comes the squid. They are also found in abundance in the ocean water. They are just a small set of soft, boneless sea animals. They are also eaten by many of the Antarctic wildlife animals like your fish, birds, and penguin. All of them, they can feed on the krill also and the squid also. Next in line is the fish. I hope all of us remember this cute little fish which we've been watching in the animation movies. Its name you will have to write in your GCR. I hope we all remember. Now it's a similar name that I'm going to show you right now. The fish which are found in Antarctic are your Antarctic cod, ice fish, and plunder fish. Now this last name might give you a hint of the fish I just showed you. And the next, amongst the fishes only, you have your whales like your blue whale, fur whale, and the humpback whale. The pictures of all of them are there in line only. You have, this is your Antarctic cod, ice fish, and plunder fish, whales, that is blue whale, fur whale, and the humpback whale. So this is all in the name of the wildlife of Antarctica, that is your fish, your penguin, and your 40 types or species of birds which are also living on the fish, the krill, and your penguins are also a type of bird only. That is all for the wildlife. Next comes the mineral content of Antarctica. Scientists believe that oil, coal, diamonds, uranium, gold, and silver, all of the mineral resources lie beneath the snow and the ice. But the problem is how to mine and ship them to a reasonable place and within the reasonable cost and without damaging the environment. All three have to be kept in mind. So, as such, none of the Antarctica's mineral resources have been developed because the reasons have been listed out here in detail. Because of the ice sheets which are covering the entire Antarctica, you have the icebergs, strong winds and blizzards. Icebergs are in the ocean, so if you have to do some mining in the ocean, it's not possible. If you are hit by the iceberg, you can actually damage the entire ship or entire setup which is there for mining can be damaged completely within minutes. And then you have your strong winds and blizzards, the definition of blizzards which we had learned. very strong winds with a lot of snowfall, and it's impossible to see also. How can you work in such conditions? Next one is your rough ocean and sea waves, which make it absolutely difficult, and they completely hamper the drilling operations which are done at the sea, and none of them have been actually able to extract any of the mineral resources from Antarctica. Let us now learn about the discovery of Antarctica. Antarctica was basically discovered in 1820, and many historians have divided the credit of discovering Antarctica among the three men who made separate voyages in 1820. One was Captain Fabian, the other was Captain Edward, and the last one, that is the American one, was Nathaniel Brown Palmer. But the Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen was the first one to reach the South Pole in 1911. Before we discuss his story, let us understand that early explorers were mainly hunters and sealers. That means they only went around to catch the seals to survive, who did not know for sure if they were actually in Antarctica or they were in the sea itself. So there was no proof as to who actually stepped onto the Antarctica continent first of all. But then the real exploration only began in the 20th century, and the first island explorer in science and the scientist who actually went out to explore, they had a destination or a fixed destination to go for, was the South Pole. And that entire team was led by Captain Robert Falcon Scott, and he belonged to the British Navy in 1901. In June 1910, Captain Scott started out hoping to be the first person to reach the South Pole. But unfortunately, he reached much later, and in between, there was this Norwegian explorer, Roald Amundsen, who started out, initially, he had started out to discover the North Pole. Then suddenly he changed his mind and started a race. In fact, he just wanted to compete with Mr. Robert Scott. So he started the race to the South Pole. And when he learned that the North Pole had actually been reached, then only he changed his mind that somebody has already reached the North Pole. So now let me explore the South Pole, or be the first one to step onto the South Pole. So he then started out his venture. So now there were two people in search of, or in fact, in a race to reach the South Pole, who could reach first. It was a kind of a competition amongst both of them, that is Mr. Roald Amundsen and Robert Scott. This race to the South Pole is very famous event in history of Antarctica, and I will be leaving a URL for all of you to enjoy it, because some parts of it was actually recorded. And however, both of them, that is Mr. Scott and Roald Amundsen, had never met, but then both of them were aware of each other, and hoping to reach the South Pole, or to win the honor of reaching the South Pole first. So there was an unseen competition amongst both of them, which actually, unfortunately or fortunately, was won by Mr. Roald Amundsen and his entire team, who reached there on the 4th December 1911, and they used very special navigating instruments to calculate their position, and they left behind a tent, a Norwegian flag, and a message for Scott at the South Pole. And when the Scots team reached South Pole, they really found it, and they were very cold, hungry, and exhausted when they reached the pole on the 17th January. Just a matter of nearly less than a month also, but then more than a year and a month. But then it was really very, very unfortunate. While Amundsen and his men returned safely from the South Pole, Scott and his men died on the way back. That is what failure does. That you take the failure to your head and then you are broken inside. That this is actually a very good example to learn from, that you should always overcome the failure or any um, setback that you face in life, and you should actually move ahead with positivity, or else your health is hampered. There are many places in the entire Antarctica which have been named after the scientists who have been exploring it. Let's have a good look at it. Here is a map of Antarctica again for all of you children. And as we have learned that Antarctica was discovered in 1820, and from 1839 to 1843, there was a very important and a very knowledgeable British explorer named James Clark Ross. And he made several discoveries, and Ross was the first person to go beyond the ice pack surrounding Antarctica. And here we have, I'll just show you the place here. You have this area named as the Ross Sea also, and there is a name written out there, Ross Sea Shelf. That means he sailed into the gulf that is now called the Ross Sea. Ross had also discovered an island with two volcanoes, which I had already mentioned previously, which was named after his ships Erebus and Terror. He had a ship which had also had a name, and his ship's name was given to the mountain that he discovered. He found the gulf barricaded by a towering sheet of ice, now known as the Ross Ice Shelf. Similarly, Mr. Amundsen also, here you have the Amundsen Scott, South Pole, it's written out here. This entire area is named after him also. This is all for today, children. In the next class, we'll be doing the human void zone as to why Antarctica does not have any permanent residents there. We'll be discussing that in detail. Have a safe and a happy weekend, children. There is no homework. Thank you.